What's up, Sam?
Hey, Connor, how you doing?
Doing well, doing well. We're coming back at everybody after a couple of weeks off here. I was over in Seattle for a week, so we're coming back ready for another show, rolling well into the football season. I guess we can just get right to the chase here. Wisconsin football is not back.
They're gone. Done. Man, I don't know if you got this same snap, but Matt Breen, one of our loyal listeners out there, he sent me a snap of one of the episodes a couple weeks ago, and I'm saying something to the effect of Badgers are a wagon, they're going to win the whole damn thing, undefeated this year, and so that take did not age well. Holy shit, yeah, they got their ass kicked, they didn't really get their ass kicked in Illinois, but lost to Illinois, and then, yes, they got their ass kicked last week to Ohio State. So Badger season done, don't care about it anymore. Go Outback Bowl, they'll play Auburn or something, that'll be that.
Yeah, it sucks because, I mean, the loss to Ohio State would have been one thing, but, man, losing the upset game against Illinois really just, it was completely deflating. It had all the... I mean, I remember Ohio State was coming off that... they played before us. I think they played Northwestern, and they just totally crushed them. Yeah. Yep. And so it was oh my God, we weren't able to beat Illinois, and we have to go into the Horseshoe and play Ohio State. Chase Young... So it was completely unmotivating, and I remember going in. So that Saturday I left Saturday night for Washington, and I remember it was oh, Jesus Christ. Well, football's done. And then I left the state, and I caught the Badger game when I was in the airport the following week coming back into Wisconsin. And I was texting Sam while I was watching it, and the first half looked all right. There was some interesting stuff that Wisconsin was doing, running some wildcat formations. So it was all right, Paul Chryst has something planned.
They're trying something because running up the middle was not working, which wasn't surprising. The last couple meetings since Ohio State, it's been kind of the same story where they do a good job shutting down the run game, and then the passing attack's not good enough to overcome that.
Yeah, teams have kind of figured out the formula here on Jonathan Taylor. We've discussed this, I think, previously, maybe not on the show, but Jonathan Taylor is very much the prototypical Wisconsin running back. Very much I'm going to run at you up the middle until your defense is too tired, and then once your defense is fatigued, we're going to make some cuts, and we're going to break through to the second level there so that we can break off a good chunk of runs. He's not, I guess, the NFL style running back now that's kind of evolved in the last, 6 or 7 years, where a lot of running backs now in the NFL, and we're seeing a lot of people utilize more committee approaches, but the running back position has become one where it's not necessarily one workhorse guy who's big and burly and he's able to break through that defensive line or punch them until they get too tired. It's much more of a, we're going to have a shifty guy and then, a change of pace guy who can punch you up the gut. And the shifty guy has become more of the, the 1 and 2 down guy who gets utilized primarily. Just as an example here, the Aaron Jones-Jamal Williams tandem that is probably one of the more balanced tandems in the NFL. Aaron Jones is clearly the superior back, and he's shorter, a little quicker, but he's utilized a lot in the passing game as well, and so that's something that Jonathan Taylor just doesn't really do. He has become a little bit more involved this year, his junior year, but he's very much a Wisconsin tailback. So it's teams kind of figured that out.
Right. Yeah, and it's interesting looking at some of those previous Wisconsin backs like Monte Ball. Exactly, it's cut from the same cloth, and kind of had flamed out in the NFL pretty quick. There are some other he had some other issues with he was a big drinker, I guess, and there's some stories that came out when he was in Denver, right? That he was like sleeping in meetings or something. Was that him?
Yeah, and I mean there were even stories that he was showing up to practice at Wisconsin drunk.
Oh.
So
whoops.
Yeah, that's kind of wild.
Yeah, so that's not great. And there was John Clay, who is from my hometown. He played for the Steelers for like 2 games after being undrafted. Didn't do anything. Melvin Gordon, that was the big knock on him, was similar, where he was not at all involved in the passing game in college, and he's been the most successful back as of late here. Other than James White. Now James White was like only the feature back for maybe 1 year, if that, right? Because he was sandwiched between came after Monte Ball and then at the beginning of Melvin Gordon's career. So he's just kind of that middleman. He's, like you were saying, more of the more useful NFL receiver, being basically an extension of the passing game.
Yeah, which is kind of funny that and we're discussing this, and James White is probably one of the more prominent, and he's known for the passing game, he isn't really used as a typical running back ever. And the Patriots are a little different. Their running back room is kind of weird. They have like 15 guys back there. But yeah, it is kind of ironic that a guy out of Wisconsin is like the passing back in the Patriot system.
And that's why that's kind of similar where you look at Garrett Groshek, and that's exactly how he's used. He is the passing back. Is shown he was made a couple of he makes every game he's making a handful of really nice pass or blitz pickups in pass protection, and then just throwing swing routes out of the backfield. He does that. So that's one guy that I wouldn't be surprised if he kind of caught on somewhere and was effective in that capacity. Probably won't be, but I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know.
We'll see. A very, very poor man, a very, very whatever, great value Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah,
he's
yeah. Garrett Groshek, he's just a running back, right? He's not a fullback.
No, he's a running back. He was every game they always mention on the broadcast he was a high school option quarterback. But yeah, no, that's no, he's not a fullback.
So I was before I get it, I should just talk about Wisconsin here. I was gonna pivot to Danny Vitale, but we can get into some Packers stuff a little later. But Wisconsin, I don't know. Yeah, they got trounced by Ohio State, and I mean after the first half, we just saw Ohio State kind of, take the parking brake off, and they kind of just let it all go. So I don't know. There's not a whole lot you can do against a generational pass rusher on the other side of the ball. I don't know. And
then you just have athletes that are just across the board just a step up.
Yeah, I mean it really felt like on every level, at the quarterback play, running back play, defense, I thought that Wisconsin's defense was going to be the thing that kept them in the game, and I mean, Ohio State just seemed to have them figured out.
In the first half, they held in there pretty good, and it was kind of, I was kind of surprised how close it was, and then it wasn't in the second half.
Yeah.
So, oh well. I guess this is largely what Wisconsin has been and will be probably forever, is a team that's probably a top 15 team. No better, no worse. They'll have years like the year they went 12-0 into the Big Ten title game, and maybe could have gotten in if they would have beaten Ohio State that year. Maybe above the mean. Last year, where you're a little bit below the mean, and they're basically the same program as the basketball team, where they're a tournament team. Maybe they'll probably get out of the first round, and that's about it. Had a couple years and went to the Final Four where you're punching above your weight class, and then the season 2 years back where they didn't make the tournament. So everything's kind of now corrected to be above average.
Yeah,
that's what it will be.
Absolutely. It felt like things would be different, like in using that analogy. How with the basketball team we had Frank Kaminsky and Sam Decker, who both ended up being drafted. It felt like there was that was really what was driving the team, was we had these two guys who were playing exceptionally well. Frank Kaminsky winning the best college basketball player award at the end of the year. Extremely talented. So it was, there was certainly a catalyst for why Wisconsin was able to make those two deep drives into the tournament, getting to the Final Four twice in consecutive years. And this year it felt like there was something there with Jack Cohn and Quintez Cephas opening up the deep passing game at the beginning of the year. It felt like we achieved this dimension of the offense that we just haven't had in a number of seasons under Joel Stave and Alex Hornibrook. But I don't know. I mean, I think teams figured out that Quintez Cephas is the only guy that's going to go up there and make those contested catches. And I mean, Jack Cohn, as it turns out, isn't like that good. He's fine, but I mean, he's the like prototypical Wisconsin quarterback, I think.
Yeah.
No, he's no worse, no better, maybe a little better, but.
Well, yeah, he's better just because he hasn't turned the ball over at an alarming rate.
Yeah.
So that's a step in the right direction, but yeah, I don't think he's Russell Wilson or who was the guy before him? Scott Tolzien, for that matter.
Yeah. So I don't know. It remains to be seen if Graham Mertz is going to be the guy that does that. I mean, there's a ton of hype around his name, but I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah,
it's tough because it felt like on top of having at least that dimension open and having a defense that seemed capable of being like top 5, it was like, oh, hell yeah, we have the pieces together. But I think I read an article on Pro Football Focus that was talking about like just college football playoff odds, and they did a piece on Wisconsin. And I mean, it makes sense. And I kind of already knew this, but it was, their argument was that Wisconsin, they had them listed at like 3% chance or something before the Illinois game. And they were just like, well, Wisconsin has an elite defense that is top 5 right now, but I mean, their offense is just not calibrated to what college football is right now. And going up against teams like LSU, Oklahoma, Alabama, like teams that are just regularly throwing the ball for almost 500 yards a game, I mean, it's not the same thing at all. Like it isn't really what the college football landscape is right now. And while defense has been proven to shut down teams like Michigan, who just trounced Notre Dame last week, when you have an offense that you can't necessarily depend on to get points when you need to, I mean, it is just hard to keep up with these teams that are just going to throw like all the time and have the capability of reaching that the high-scoring offense, high-octane offense that they have. So, just kind of like how do you beat that? Like, how do you compete with that?
Yeah, I think I don't remember who was saying this. I heard someone talking about it or writing. Maybe it was an article I read. Okay, well, you take all the wind comes out of your sails, so to speak, by losing to Illinois. So, okay, well, let's just say, though, you did beat Ohio, you did beat Illinois, did beat Ohio State, and then you'd have to probably beat Ohio State again. So you really think you can beat Ohio State twice in 1 year? If assuming we would see them in the Big Ten title game, and then, okay, well, then what? Then you got to play, either Alabama, LSU, Clemson, Oklahoma, or whoever. You going to beat 2 of those teams? No, probably not. So, In some sense, it's almost better to lose now before you get all the way down. You get all the way to end of December, and you're, thinking you have a chance.
Right.
So, I don't know. Well, you can still. There's still an opportunity, I guess, probably to get to the Big Ten title game to win the West here. Would need to win out probably, and then have some help. Some needs to beat Minnesota. So I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah.
I got Iowa next week. They're fine.
Yeah, I think they're right next to us in rankings.
Same record. So, be nice to get the Axe back, if nothing else.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I'm thinking right now is if we can beat Minnesota, who looks to be rolling on all cylinders here. Apparently, their wide receiver core in Minnesota is, like, really, really good. Like, they're, like, top 5. So that's kind of scary.
I haven't watched any Minnesota. I don't think they've played anybody, though.
No.
They played Penn State at some point.
We'll have them take an L there.
Yeah, and then Badgers
soften them up for us.
Yeah, then we get to beat them. Badgers beat them, and then they get to go lose to Ohio State again.
Yeah.
Woo!
Oh, yeah. Right before a nice trip to Orlando.
Yeah. It's playing the Gator Bowl or the TaxSlayer.com Music City Bowl or something stupid.
It's Oregon or something. Yeah. Anyway, so Wisconsin football, whatever. I don't know. It's
good game.
Yeah, no better, no worse than previous years. We'll see.
That Michigan game was fun. We'll always have that.
Yeah, that was
kick the shit out of them.
An exciting time to be a Wisconsin fan when we had the illusion of going to the college football playoff. Yeah. It was kind of like last year before the BYU game.
Yeah, except that was really early.
This is the second game.
Oh. Or like that year before when they were undefeated going to the Big Ten title game and lost to Ohio State.
Great times.
Whoa, almost had them. Or that 1 year where they went there and they lost 59-0 to Ohio State.
Oh,
almost had them.
Almost.
Just ran out of time.
I think I used that phrase at some point. I don't remember why. I used it during one of these games. We didn't lose. Just ran out of time. It's one of the greatest phrases ever.
The best. I think that's a Vince Lombardi quote, isn't it?
Is it? I have no idea.
I think it is.
Anyway, well, Wisconsin football. Basketball started yesterday, so real handed victory against UW La Crosse to start the season. So yeah, I don't know. That'll be something to watch for sure.
Yeah, this year's gonna be weird because Ethan Happ's gone.
Yeah, I don't know who's the guy there anymore. Is it Brad Davison, Kobe King, Demetric Trice?
Oh yeah, Kobe King. Yeah,
I don't know.
Who's the other guy that? Oh no, Cole Iverson's gone, right?
Yeah, he's gone. Aleem Ford.
Oh, maybe.
Is he the guy?
Yeah, can someone make a fucking
Nate Reavers?
Oh yeah, actually, Nate Reavers is
he's our big white guy.
That's the guy. Yeah, boy. If Brad Davison could just not shoot all year, I think we'd be good. Just go out there, play defense, and take charges.
Hey, Brad, can you use your extendo arm that pops out of its joint to get some steals and then just throw some assists over to Nate under the post there?
Do not shoot those ugly-looking threes. For God's sake.
Whatever you do.
Watch, he's going to come out and he's just going to be stroking it this year. He's going to be just on fire all season or something.
Yeah.
Which would be fine.
Yeah, I don't know. It'd be cool. I'm kind of expecting Wisconsin makes the tournament, first round exit maybe.
Yep.
That's the expectation.
Yep.
Punch that ticket here right now. I'm calling it.
They're gonna get into that the 6-10 They're gonna be a 9 seed or something, playing the 8-9 game.
Yeah, that's right. Well, the 8-9 game, except they're the 8 seed, and the 9 seed always wins those matchups, no matter what.
True. What seed were they when they beat Villanova a couple years ago? Were they an 8 or a 9?
8?
I think they were an 8.
8?
Yeah.
I feel like 8.
Boy, that was a
don't
fun
know
weekend.
for sure.
Yeah, that was the basketball. That was the year I was on the basketball trips.
Yeah, that'd be a pretty cool scene for, you to be at that big old upset.
Yeah, that's cool. Beat Virginia Tech first and then won the other one. Boy,
Right.
Nothing like spending spring break in a foot of snow in Buffalo, New York.
Didn't... it's tough with those trips, yeah, because there's like all these like destinations that are, oh, well, California or Washington or Omaha, Nebraska or Buffalo.
New York? What? Yeah, that was a very not excited, but that trip ended up being fun just because it was like there's nothing to do, so we just kind of screwed around the whole time, and we were staying in the same hotel with the West Virginia team, so we were like hanging out in the pool one night, and we're talking to Smokey the Bandit. That's not his name, but whatever because their spirits, the West Virginia Spirit Squad, their mascot is just a guy. He's not in a suit. He's just a mountain man with a beard. So we're sitting there talking to Trent or whatever they call him, and he it's so funny. These I haven't talked to a ton of mascots or dudes that are mascots, but like talking to Caleb, Bucky, and this dude, it's like, yo, you guys have like the same energy, putting out that same mascot energy.
Y'all are a similar breed.
Yeah, it takes a certain type of person to be, a mascot. I would assume even more so to be to be this Mountaineer man or be the leprechaun for Notre Dame, like the ones that are just regular people, not in like a costume.
Yeah.
Not wearing a foam finger.
Can't hide behind a false sense of security.
Can't hide behind the dead eyes of Purdue Pete. Or that big wry smile from Goldie the Gopher.
The nostril, the things that shoot out of the Colts mascot's nose.
You can't behind the warm embrace of the leaves from the Stanford tree.
The Syracuse orange.
Is that the one where he can like tuck his arms in and just spin his whole suit around?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the one.
Boy, I was watching. I think it was the end of the Colts Broncos game last Sunday. So Adam Vinatieri's kicking that game-winning 50-yard field goal, and then the ball's up, and the camera pans down to see it go in, and then there's Blue just standing under the goalpost, like and then doing his thing with his hips where he's thrusting them with his hands or whatever. I also I really like the Chiefs mascot. He's really fun. He kind of does the same, like a similar thing when there's kicking field goals, and he's just kind of down there next to the goalpost, like banging his head against the padding there when they miss.
Their mascot is, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about them.
There's some that are fun. By and large, I don't need them. Like, man, what if the Packers got a mascot though?
Oh boy, what would it be?
I don't know. Is it a big cheese? Yeah, or well, they kind of have like does like a super fan count as a mascot? Like you got the guy that dresses up as the Pope Vince or whatever every week.
Yeah.
Or Tundra Man that's wearing the icicles hanging out of his nose.
That's exactly what I was thinking when you were bringing that up. The Tundra Man.
Yeah, it's one of those two dudes. Like okay, the Chargers had Bolt Man, the Saints have Whistle Man. We got Tundra Man.
The Panthers have a drum.
Oh yeah. Well, Purdue's got a drum too.
Yeah. But
the Patriots got Patriot Man.
Yeah, the Patriot. Mel Gibson.
Yeah. Well, actually, no, the Patriots are kind of cool because they have those guys like that are dressed up in the Revolutionary garb in the end zone that shoot the muskets.
Yeah. They should do that with the Buccaneers pirate ship thing. Have a bunch of pirates up there.
Oh,
and, launch cannonballs.
Yeah.
Really just
play
up the whole
that'd be a
thing.
good thing. That really embrace like the hick Northern Wisconsin thing, and just have like the mascot be a guy wearing a hunting vest and having like a shotgun, or a hunter has a fucking rifle.
And he's shooting that in the air.
Here's what's a good Northern Wisconsin just generic first name? Just name him Hunter.
Hunters, yeah, that's a good one.
We're gonna go now live to Hunter's Hangout and rename the middle like Party Deck that.
Hey
There, guy.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
We'll have to workshop that. We'll make some mock-ups and talk to the Packers brass about that. Talk to the marketing department.
I think we'll have to have a meeting with the marketing department about it.
Yeah. See, like, because like, I was gonna say, just
Yeah.
like the Stanford tree is actually the mascot for the band. Like Stanford itself doesn't have a mascot. We could do that. We could just have the Tundra Line mascot.
Yeah, and it's Hunter.
Yeah.
We pick a guy out of the crowd every week. So it's a different guy every time that we're playing.
Yeah.
And we just find the most, stock looking dude.
Yeah. Well, we got to carry a breathalyzer around with us and make sure he's not sober.
Hey, what's your name? It's Hunter today. You want to...
Is your BAC above .08? Then you're just the guy.
Yeah. That'd be pretty fun. But, well, yeah, we'll talk to the brass about it. Getting into the Packers football stuff, though, you want to give a brief recap of the Kansas City game here while I check on my slow cooker?
Yeah, go check on the pork. Make sure she's not roasting too good in there, yeah?
All right, hell yeah.
Yeah, so Packers last week, we had the Sunday night game against the Kansas City Chiefs. It was a very good game. Packers won, moving up to 7-1. Yeah, I don't know. It was cool the way they're doing things. I don't know. I didn't pay much attention to it, actually. I was like half watching the whole game. But 7-1 at this point in the largest scheme of things, I think definitely ahead of schedule. I don't think anybody could have, in their wildest dreams, could have imagined this team would be 7-1 at this point. So that's really encouraging. The defense, I think, has come back down to earth. I think it's, they're not world beaters like we thought after the first couple weeks. But boy, it certainly helps that you're playing the Bears, or the Bears gave you that false sense of accomplishment, because they are one of the worst offenses in the league. I think they're like ranked 30th or something overall. So yeah, but the defense overall it is better, and then your offense now is starting to produce at a better rate a little later in the season, about midway through the season. So throwing all that together, you got a pretty decent team. So 7-1, yeah, it's a pretty rip roaring start.
Yeah, I mean, just to echo that sentiment, I certainly didn't believe that the Packers were going to be going 7-1. In fact, a lot of people at the beginning of the season thought that it would be pretty rocky, just because of, in the past, teams with new coaches typically haven't performed overly well in their first year, and that kind of makes sense, just having a new coach there. But yeah, with the Packers being 7-1 and coming off of a tight game against Kansas City, there's a lot of things, I guess, that played into our favor. The injury report being one that I think gave us a little bit of wiggle room. Pat Mahomes being the biggest guy that did not play for the Kansas City Chiefs. Although Matt Moore was certainly more than capable. I just think that the offense was... Andy Reid did a really excellent job of tailoring the offense to Matt Moore. They talked about it in the broadcast, but they, essentially tried to have Matt Moore get the ball out of his hands as quickly as possible. So it was a lot of quick passes, and it worked. Andy Reid game planned, to use his weapons, because he still had a lot of offensive firepower with Tyreek Hill, Mecole Hardman, Sammy Watkins, Travis Kelce. And even though they were missing part of the offensive line, I think their starting left tackle was missing, or right tackle maybe. Matt Moore he didn't turn the ball over. He kind of just did what he had to do and dinked and dunked his way down the field, and then allowed his offensive weapons to kind of carry the offense and make some big plays here and there. Like Tyreek Hill is, just a superhuman wide receiver and much faster than anybody on the Packers. So having him there, and the I think the one that stood out to me was that just like lofted pass to Travis Kelce for a touchdown. There's nobody back there covering him.
Yeah, whoops.
So he's not the reason why the Chiefs lost. At the end of the day, it was their defense kind of just in the second half kind of got exposed by Matt LaFleur a little bit. And that was something that I thought was extremely refreshing to see, was the Packers coming out in the second half after the Chiefs were sending blitz all night. I think at one point the broadcast said that they were sending it 44% of the time. And that was keeping us from getting anything going in the first half there. But the second half, they came out and, they split out Aaron Jones wide on a ton of plays. And they had a lot of things opened up for some quick passes themselves, or some routes that were tailored specifically. Like they had a cool fake screen that went to one side and then it actually went to the other side. Stuff like that was worked in to kind of expose the Chiefs defense that wasn't really all that good to begin with, but they were missing a lot of key players on the other side of the ball there. Chris Jones and Frank Clark and Kendall Fuller were all inactive for the game. So the second half, it came out and there was a game plan change, and that was something that I thought was really cool to see, because under Mike McCarthy that last year, it seemed to be a really frustrating recurring theme that we were frustrated by something that the opposing defense was doing, and it just would bother us for the whole night. So it was cool to see a game plan change that really seemed to counter what was happening, and it made me a little bit more, I guess, confident that our coaching staff can handle the long-term chess game against somebody like Andy Reid, who's known for being exceptionally crafty.
Yeah, and I think you really touched on it there. The usage of the weapons that you did have, this receiving core, we've talked about it. Not particularly impressive without Devontae Adams, but taking advantage of some of the mismatches you get with Aaron Jones by splitting him out the whole time, or not the whole time, but a lot, and get mismatches out on the perimeter. You saw it on the screen pass that went for the long touchdown, and then that game-clinching first down throw to Aaron Jones on the simple out route, just taking advantage of the guys that you do have and some of those mismatches that he creates. So refreshing to see that. That's I don't know, it's just good football coaching, which is good to see again. Then we also have the play of the game was that silly throwaway that was caught for a touchdown that Aaron Rodgers threw to Jamal Williams. That he was throwing that away. He had to be throwing that away.
That was nuts, man. I am not convinced either that was totally on purpose.
Well, maybe it was on purpose, or it was a calculated thing where it's like, I'm gonna throw this away, but not all the way. Where it's like, it's either he's gonna catch it or no one's catching it, and it just happened to put it in the perfect spot.
Yeah, that was outstanding. It was, oh my God, couldn't have been much better than what he did. It was, I know when the ball went up in the air, I thought for sure it was this. He's just thrown it out of the back of the end zone. But yeah, that was the highlight play, I think, of the night.
Yeah.
You know, the one that was played a lot on a TV broadcast the following day. Yeah, I mean, it was a tight game. I think one thing that a lot of Chiefs fans were pissed off about was their punt towards the end of the game.
Yeah, 4th and 1 with like 5 minutes left.
Yeah, I think there's people that post the surrender index.
Yeah, John Boyce.
Punts. Yeah, and I think that was. I can't remember how high it was on the surrender index, but it was pretty high. And I mean, I myself in the broadcast, like when we were watching the game, I was kind of surprised that they weren't gonna try to go for it. I mean, just considering that it's Andy Reid and that, you know, they have all the offensive weapons that we were just talking about. Like, surely they have something.
Yeah, you got to have something for 4th and 1. I think if you have Patrick Mahomes, you definitely have something drawn up. And I don't know, 5 minutes left. You're hoping you can get a stop somewhere in there. I don't know.
Yeah, I certainly would have been a little upset about it, and I totally get it. But I mean, especially with the way the game turned out, I mean, it's, you know, hindsight's 2020.
Right.
But yeah, that was a pivotal point as well in the game.
On the flip side of that, though, I mean, that's really good execution from the Packers offense to kill that 5 minutes.
Yeah. They had another drive in that game at some point too that just like we got out of the game and it was like, holy shit, like that was a really fast Sunday night game. I think it was, I can't remember if it was the second or third quarter. I think it was the third quarter. Like, the Packers just had this drive that seemed to extend forever and just about like kill the entire third quarter clock. I can't remember exactly what happened with it, but I remember they finished it and it was like, Jesus, that felt like the longest time in the world, and it was the longest time. But anyway, yeah. So the Packers coming off this 7-1, they go to LA to play the Chargers, who just had a real hell of a game against the Bears this past week. They look a little anemic. Their defense is riddled with injuries. Their offense, Philip Rivers just is showing his age a little bit.
Melvin Gordon has not looked the same. Hasn't looked like the same player from last year after coming back from his holdout.
Yeah, that's a huge thing. They just fired their offensive coordinator. So they're on some tough times here, so that makes the Packers a little, feels a little optimistic going into the game, but, I mean, they're still a tough team. Still have a lot of elite playmakers. But the following week, not the following week, they play the Panthers. But the week after that, they play the Niners. And that, I think, is a game that a lot of people are looking at to see who's going to be, right now in the NFC, I think there's 3 teams that are kind of up there with the Saints, Niners, and Packers, all sitting at similar records and showing signs of, these are maybe going to be the upper echelon NFC teams.
Yeah, these might be the 3 teams fighting for 2 first-round buys. Which hadn't even crossed my mind at this point yet, is until right now, talking about, well, can we get a 1 or a 2 seed in the playoffs like that? That's crazy to think about, from where things were the last 2 years to now, like, oh, this is a legit thing. This is legitimately in play halfway through the year.
Yeah, I mean, literally not even making the playoffs the last couple of seasons, to having the opportunity to possibly have a first-round bye. There is obviously a ton of season left before that, so anything can happen. However, it is refreshing to see the Packers going into a game this week where our injury report is relatively clean. Davante Adams may play. Game time decision. If he doesn't play, you got to think that he plays the next week, though, with the way he was looking in practice. So, would like to see him play, but if not a huge deal. They've been able to get things done without him, but, I mean, I think really it's important to have him available for that Niners game, the major showdown that's going to happen out in San Francisco.
Yeah, have him go out there toe-to-toe against Dick Sherman.
Holy shit, man. That defense is, I mean, they're nasty. Watch that Arizona game.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, see, that Arizona game made me feel a little better because Arizona did score on him.
They kept it close, man. They it was down to the wire there, and a lot of it was on that botch, just Andy Isabella, like
yeah.
Dick Sherman totally whiffed on tackling him. Like he had a solid 30-yard gain, and then Dick Sherman took just the worst possible angle of approach there, and got juked. He got his fucking ankles broken. Yeah, and then Andy Isabella's just a freak of nature, super fast. So that was that. But yeah, I mean, you're right. Kenyon Drake too was doing work.
Well, we'll get to him once we talk fantasy here.
Oh yeah,
we'll get to him.
So I mean, yeah, Arizona and their offense is. I mean, the whole Cliff Kingsbury, Kyler Murray thing there is that they're gonna toss the ball a whole lot. And it seemed it worked to a point. You know, Christian Kirk and Larry Fitzgerald weren't necessarily able to get a lot of things going there. But you're right. Arizona was kind of able to expose some portions of that defense that looked almost impenetrable to the other teams that have played them so far. Yeah, I don't know. I'll be interested to see how the Niners perform the next couple of weeks here. Quan Alexander playing in the middle linebacker position. A lot of people thought he was overpaid going into the season, but he did prove over the last couple of games that he was capable of elite playmaking. He tore his pec and he's out for the season. So I mean, that's that. There's obviously a lot of other playmakers on that team.
Yeah, I saw he was rated as one of the better, higher rated or better rated, or was very crucial in their pass defense or in coverage as a coverage linebacker. So that obviously that is, I mean, yeah, you don't want to see him get hurt, but that's something you think the Packers could be able to take advantage of a couple weeks down the line with the way they've been using their backs this year.
Yeah. On the other side of the ball, though, Emmanuel, we can kind of get into this a little bit later, but they've opened up their passing game a little bit besides, George Kittle being there. Emmanuel Sanders was traded to the Niners. I guess we didn't talk about that. We didn't talk about any trade news that happened.
Yeah,
there
the
really
trade deadline that wasn't.
Yeah, right. There is a bunch of smoke, but really nothing. But
I was gonna say, yeah, there's Emmanuel Sanders, but the biggest news I thought was the story, the Trent Williams story where he had cancer.
Oh yeah, man,
that whole thing is crazy.
It's kind of nuts. That and the guy on the Jets, the
Kalichi Asamali.
Yeah, the guy who used to play for the Raiders.
Yeah.
Both of those where it was like these stories of front offices abusing these guys, and you gotta play. Like, oh, I have cancer.
No, we're not gonna test that. We're not testing that tumor in your head for 6 years.
Like
for
what?
6 goddamn years.
Yeah, that's nuts. When that story came out, I was like, yeah, dude, I don't know, I'll probably don't play for them.
Because wasn't that similar thing, like, I think happened with the Bulls, where, like, it might have been one of the many Derrick Rose knee injuries, but there was I thought there was some stuff that came out where, like, the medical staff for the Bulls was like, I don't know, I guess I don't really know any specifics of it, but something maybe similar where they were acting not necessarily in the best interest of the player, the dude that was hurt.
Being just, like, really negligent with injuries.
Yeah. Some shady shit like that. Or which team was it last year? Was it last year? There was a team that had there was a bunch of staph infections broke out.
I don't know.
Am I making that up?
I think you're making that up.
Or maybe that was a different sport.
That doesn't ring a bell at all to me, but it's possible.
It might have been the Redskins. It was probably the Redskins.
Redskins are a terrible organization. Gonna burn in mediocrity hell for the rest of their, lifespan under Dan Snyder.
Yeah, boy. Well, looking at that now, it's like, man, maybe Dwayne maybe the Giants were smart in taking
Daniel Jones.
Yeah, him. Daniel Jones ahead of not Cardale Jones. Jesus Christ, I can't remember anybody's name.
Cardale Jones
Freeman.
Light.
No, Dwayne Haskins. That's him. Holy shit.
Whoa. Ahead of JT Barrett.
Yes. Boy, instead of drafting Braxton Miller or Troy Smith.
Yeah, dude, Dwayne Haskins has looked like total dog shit. And I mean, I don't know. Everybody's saying like, well, that's what you get picking an Urban Meyer quarterback. But shut the fuck up. 6 months ago, everybody was not saying that, first of all.
Also,
everybody
plays on the Redskins, so cut him some slack.
Exactly. I mean, that's a huge thing. Is they're all blaming Dwayne Haskins for being total ass, but it's at the end of the day, I don't know. There are teams out there with quarterback situations that aren't maybe the best, but the coaching staff gets it done with them. The Minnesota Vikings are a pretty good example of that.
The Rams.
Yeah, that is probably a much better example. Yeah, it'd be awesome to see Jared Goff on the Miami Dolphins, to see his elite playmaking ability.
Well, we kind of got a glimpse of that his rookie year when he was on the Jeff Fisher Rams.
Yeah,
and he looked terrible.
Bad. Yeah, so I mean, I don't know. It remains to be seen. We're gonna watch Dwayne Haskins play this weekend start, and this is another fantasy thing, but I definitely picked up the Buffalo Bills, who he's playing against. Because I watched the Redskins game when Case Keenum left and Dwayne Haskins went out there, and it was whoa.
Boy, well, I guess we could maybe talk fantasy too. I saw you pick back up. Your love-hate relationship continues with Jameis Winston.
Oh man,
which is exactly why I have the Seattle defense. I'm banking on a classic Jameis game.
Jameis is the one that I can't learn to let go. He comes. He's
worse than Eric
the Thanos
Ebron.
thing. Where did that get you? Right back here with me.
Well, that's my relationship here with Kenyon Drake. I had him last year for the whole damn season, and he didn't do a goddamn thing other than the Miami Miracle play. And I stayed away from him all during the draft in the first couple weeks, and then I just have no running backs. I literally have no running backs on my team, so I needed to pick a person up to just play running back, and I look on who's the free agent, and there he is.
Well.
Look who it is, Kenyon Drake. So whatever. Yeah, but then he has the game I've been waiting for almost 2 years now. Where he gets traded to Arizona, and he scores. He goes over 100 yards. He has a touchdown. He has a bunch of catches. So finally, it happened. The Kenyon Drake
long
game.
last, the Kenyon Drake game. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that was pretty. I guess we can just talk. You want to talk about fantasy now?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. One other thing. He's got the ugliest running back number. 41 is not a running back number. That's terrible.
Yeah. What you say? I didn't even realize Antoine Bethea didn't play for the Cardinals anymore.
He's on some other team. He's still playing though.
Oh well, his legacy
Alexa,
was signing Kenyon Drake.
What team does Antoine Bethea play for? Can you hear that?
Yeah, the New York Giants.
Yeah. No, I don't want to play a trivia game. So there you go.
All right.
Thank you. Very, very cool.
So anyway, all right. So let's talk some fantasy. So Sam borderline gave up on the season a couple weeks ago.
No, I wouldn't say borderline. I did give up, and then now I've ungiven up.
Yeah, so Sam Unn gave up because he. So this is really funny. So he did this trade that was, I mean, just a ridiculous trade.
Which one are you talking about? The 7-way one, or
well, the 7-way one was also ridiculous. But he traded Kerryon Johnson and Mark Andrews for Travis Kelce so that he could start to form the Kansas City Chiefs Super Ultra team. And so that happened, and it was like, all right. So that happened, and then immediately I think that week, Kerryon Johnson gets hurt, goes on injured reserve. So like, all right. At the same time, I think you also traded Calvin Ridley for Sammy Watkins.
That sounds right.
Yeah, and that remains to be, I mean, I think open-ended in terms of who won that trade, but Calvin Ridley doesn't look very good, and the Atlanta Falcons don't really look very good.
I mean, so overall, I as much as I was, giving up those, and I didn't realize Kerryon Johnson got hurt until I was looking on the waiver wire and saw him there, and I was like, oh, good for me. Look at me making moves.
Exactly, though. So now, so Sam's sitting at 2-6, but
very much in it though.
Yeah. So this is hilarious. The rest of the league. So there's a hard cutoff at Calvin's kind of like the middle of the middle of the Pac-Man here.
Exactly middle of the road. He's 4-4 in 5th place out of 10. So
yeah,
smack dab in the middle.
However, the bottom 4 or 5 teams there, with Cheech, Ben, and Brian all sitting at 3-5, and then you and Mila sitting at 2-6.
How many teams make the playoffs?
6.
Oh, so I'm a game out.
Yeah, you're literally playing the person who's in the last seed for the playoffs, Cheech.
Oh, hell yeah.
So Sam's very much in the running for the playoffs, and his team right now looks invigorated more than ever.
Still a little light at running back, but I need. But other than that, who else? I picked up Christian Kirk and Mike Williams off the waiver wire, which I was surprised to find.
Yeah.
And with Devontae Adams possibly coming back, we got a nice little receiving core here.
Yeah, Tyler Lockett, Devontae Adams, Travis Kelce, and when he returns, Patrick Mahomes. But Jimmy Garoppolo has been playing lights out, threw 4 fucking touchdowns against the Cardinals.
Yeah, and Kenyon Drake. Yeah, through the Thursday night game between Jimmy Garoppolo, Kenyon Drake, and then those two dudes put up some big numbers, over 28 points. Christian Kirk only had 3, but I don't know. I looking at who I'm playing, Cheech's roster here, I think I can absorb that low number.
Yeah, I mean Cheech he's playing Chris Conley, Jarvis Landry, Robbie Anderson,
Jalen Samuels. Ew.
Yeah, he's the only running back available for the Steelers, but I am not entirely convinced that Jalen Samuels is going to have a great game.
Yeah,
just because he's the only guy.
His ace in the hole, though, is that damn Patriots defense.
I know, man. He's the guy with the Patriots defense. It's so unfair.
The numbers, the game log here is absolutely insane. They've been held on. They've scored less than 10 points literally one time. They scored 8 points in week 1, and they've been double digits every week since. They've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games over 20 points.
Yeah, man, it's fucking nuts.
How does that compare to Christian McCaffrey? I imagine Christian McCaffrey's scored more points, but I don't.
He's one of the handful of people that have scored more points. Christian McCaffrey. All right, here we go. He scored less than 20 points one time. And it was against Tampa Bay where he went for 7.3. But his game log is 42.9, 7.3, 27.8, 33.9, 47.7, 21.7 bye week, and then 27.5 against the Niners.
Okay, so he's been more productive than the Patriots defense.
Absolutely.
But
He's been a freak of nature.
But
he's the only reason I'm winning as much as I am.
Yeah, the point still holds though. The fact that we're having this conversation is still speaks to the I don't know, the fantasy dominance of the Patriots defense.
Oh yeah, I mean we're talking about the unquestionable like number one player in fantasy in general, PPR, against the defense. Yeah, like that's what we're comparing right now. Like this is not a fair comparison by any means. So yeah, there rarely, if ever, do you get a defense that you can set and forget like that. Even like the Chicago Bears of last year were nothing at all compared to what New England's doing this year. So I mean, it's pretty outstanding, and I mean it's good for him, I guess. But it's really fun. The rest of his team kind of fell apart. Unfortunately, in these last couple of weeks, he's made some high profile trades to try to do some roster renovation.
Yeah, and he still has Aaron Rodgers at quarterback, which is good, but I'm not too worried about it based on the Jimmy Garoppolo performance. So, who do you got this week on your matchup?
So I got Calvin. I'm feeling good about this because I was in a tight a decision process for my last flex position. I was between Cortland Sutton, DJ Moore, and Emmanuel Sanders, and didn't know who to play. So
I think you made the right call there with Emmanuel Sanders.
Absolutely. He is looking like a stud. And this is what I was going to mention before, or what I kind of touched on, was that Niners receiving game is totally different now that they have an unquestionable wide receiver one. The rest of their guys showed little like sparks of talent, but I mean the fact that they didn't have a solid guy besides George Kittle in the receiving game, I mean they're a run first offense unquestionably under Kyle Shanahan, but the game against the Cardinals showed that having that guy is going to be absolutely crucial to them making a run in the playoffs. It makes sense why they traded for him, like not having anybody else there in the game. Like the Packers fans were totally upset that we didn't get Emmanuel Sanders, and I was a person that was saying a lot that we should acquire Emmanuel Sanders, but the fact of the matter is that the Niners needed him way more than we did.
Yeah, that having him on that team, I think it certainly feel better about that receiving core. I mean, they had some nice pieces. Deebo Samuel is, I don't know, he seems like he's going to be a nice player moving forward, but for right now, having him as like a number 2 or 3 option definitely serves them better as an offense. So that's what they got now with a veteran presence, a legit pro, as your number 1 guy. So nice move. Yeah, they're a good team.
Yeah, no doubt. So pivoting back to the fantasy team here, yeah, my fantasy team has really come into prime form over the course of the season. I was looking a little shaky for a few weeks. At the beginning of the season, Tyreek Hill went out, and Joe Mixon has proven that he's just like totally incapable to do anything behind that terrible Bengals offensive line.
Except when he's in London.
Yeah, except when he's in London and scores on a fluky touchdown. I'm so pissed off that they benched Andy Dalton. Because Ryan Finley, I watched some college tape on Ryan Finley because I was like, fuck myself, man. I've held AJ Green for like 6 weeks and now they're benching Andy Dalton.
For
you
what?
Gotta be fucking kidding me. Yeah, so I was watching it, it's like, oh my god, like this guy is like literally just Andy Dalton but a little bit faster. Like this guy is nothing. He's certainly not better than him. So we'll fucking see. But I was pissed off about that because of Joe. I have Joe Mixon and AJ Green. Like I have too many assets in this terrible, terrible Bengals team.
Ooh, while we're talking Bengals, real quick, Andy Dalton's the only quarterback to both start a season 8-0 and 0-8.
Oh wow!
It's a little fun fact.
Sides of the coin.
He is isn't he? Was it him or Joe Flacco that was always the average quarterback?
Yeah, he's the Andy Dalton line of mediocrity.
Yes.
If you're worse than him, you're bad. If you're better than him, you're better.
Perfectly balanced. way all things should be.
Yeah. So Andy Dalton got fucking benched, and so anyway, Joe Mixon had a redeeming performance, but I'm absolutely not convinced that he can do that ever again, which makes me a little mad just because I took him in like the second round. But I'm keeping him on my bench nonetheless just because I need an insurance policy if for some reason I lose the running back. And he's still an elite playmaker. He's still not, he's very good, but, he might be the ace in the hole later on in the season. You never know.
Would you entertain a trade for Joe Mixon?
Well, I'd entertain it for sure. No doubt.
Well, what can I do for you? What do you need?
Well,
does Sammy Watkins or Devontae Parker do anything for you?
No.
Oh, how about Marquez Valdez-Scantling? Straight up.
I don't think so.
Justin Tucker.
No, not Justin Tucker.
You want Christian Kirk back?
No, I don't want Christian Kirk
how about
back.
Kenyon Drake?
Oh my God. See, maybe though.
Isn't it when's the trade deadline? That's coming up, isn't it?
It's next week after. It's 11/11.
Okay.
After the Monday night game.
Okay, I think I'd be willing to part ways with Kenyon Drake.
I mean, I think I'd do it if at first glance here without doing any research. I think that I would. I don't know if that'd be a good. I made one big old trade this week that I'm still trying to come to terms with a little bit. You get a little bit of whiplash from trading some of the guys I've drafted in the earlier rounds. I don't know if you saw that.
Saw what? Who'd you trade?
I traded Josh Jacobs for Le'Veon Bell.
Oh, that's right. I didn't think you had Le'Veon Bell, but now
so
you do.
my running back room is Le'Veon Bell and Christian McCaffrey and Joe Mixon.
Which that sounds good.
Yeah, that's good on paper. However, it was funny that Cheech offered it to me, and it was interesting because I was listening to my fantasy podcast on the way home, and I had the legitimate. So I do this a lot in our league where I just send out trades and then I go, oh fuck, I shouldn't do that, and I cancel it. I do that a lot, and it's just because I listen to these podcasts and I'm constantly thinking about it while I'm listening to the podcast. And so anyway, I was thinking about it on the way home, and I was like, man, I think I need a guy that is going to be a little bit more elite in order to compete with Finch and Alexis. Their teams are just fucking unreal. And I beat Alexis, but she had just a terrible, terrible week. And I mean, I'm not totally convinced that I could beat Cordell if it came down to me and him. So it's fuck, man, I need to make a move to get a guy. And so I offered Cheech a deal for Le'Veon Bell way back when. I think I offered him Julian Edelman or something, and he didn't take it. So I'm whatever. So I was well, maybe I could trade Josh Jacobs for him. And then I was Josh Jacobs is rolling now. I don't know if I should. And then when I got home, I saw that he offered me that trade, and so I was oh fuck. So my podcast that I listened to, it was a big thing. So he didn't get his last couple of weeks have been not very good. However, the Jets' end of the season schedule, you want to know what it is? Oh my God.
What, do you get the Dolphins twice in there?
It is mouth watering. So they play the Dolphins this week, week 9, and then after this, listen to this, they get the New York Giants, the Washington Redskins, the Oakland Raiders, the Cincinnati Bengals, the Dolphins again, and then the Baltimore Ravens and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Buffalo Bills, week 17, we don't play that week.
Whew. That's
yeah, man.
You know what's going to happen, right?
I know Bell's gonna he's either gonna break his leg and be out for the rest of the season, or the Jets are gonna be absolutely the most incompetent team, and my fantasy team's gonna get flushed down the toilet.
Who's who's the number 2 back in that offense?
Ty Montgomery.
Really? They don't have
Oh,
the
yeah.
Crow anymore?
No, he was in Oakland and then he got hurt.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, that
Ty
was a
Montgomery.
brief.
Yeah, I'm going to pick his ass up right now since we're talking about this.
Oh, very cool.
Yep. Well, that's done. So, just gonna file that away in the tickler file.
So I made that trade because I need to take the gamble that end of the season, rest of season schedule, Le'Veon Bell is going to be able to ball out and hopefully carry me into the playoffs here, and maybe provide some insurance in the case that Christian McCaffrey gets hurt. Any way you look at it. And then following that, I mean, the rest of my team, it's Cortland Sutton was rolling on all cylinders, and I was feeling really good about him being a flex guy until Joe Flacco got hurt, and now I have Brandon Allen throwing him the ball, so I was like, fuck.
Yeah, it's no good.
Put that guy on the bench for the rest of the season, probably. But I picked up... like I was saying, I've been sitting on A.J. Green, and he's supposed to come back next week. I'm excited to play him because my two wide receivers, Julian Edelman and Tyreek Hill, that have been carrying me in the wide receiver group, they both have buys. So I'm excited that he hopefully can at least serve as a placeholder for one or both of them when they're both out. And besides that, I've kind of started to hedge my bets here and I picked up Jamal Williams a couple weeks ago, and I picked up Alex Madison. I'm kind of starting to get into the handcuff game here to do what you just did with Ty Montgomery. See who's getting hurt any given week here.
Yeah, just stocking up number 2 dudes.
Yeah, Alex Madison being one that he's the handcuff to Dalvin Cook in Minnesota. They drafted him in the 3rd round this year, and he's been playing pretty well when he's been asked to, but Dalvin Cook's been playing lights out. The only worry there is that he's been kind of injury prone his first couple of seasons in the NFL. So handcuff watch has been active for him for a number of weeks now, and I don't know. I really don't have anybody that I felt good about. I had LaShawn McCoy on my roster last week, and that Kansas City backfield is a backfield that I want no part of anymore.
Nope.
After watching that Packers game.
Well, the problem is with, they had their backup quarterback in, and they didn't really run the ball. Or they didn't run it well with any one dude, and then you get Patrick Mahomes back. Yeah, they just don't run the ball.
No, and it's a total crapshoot with who's going to be the guy. Between
LaShawn McCoy, Damian Williams, the third guy,
Darwin Thompson,
yeah,
Darrell Williams, the other D. Williams. So anyway, I don't know. We'll kind of see how the rest of this fantasy thing shakes out, but it's been exciting the last couple of weeks with all these teams kind of being in contention. Nobody's out of it quite yet, and there's quite a bit of time still left in the season that anything can really happen. But yeah, it's been fun so far. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, man, I don't know.
I can't remember if I told you about this. I got a text message from Andrew Stroman one of these days, and he goes, "Are you sure you don't want one of my quarterbacks?" Because he posted up in the league one time. He's like, "Does anybody want Kyler Murray?" And so, yeah, like Sam mentioned at the beginning of the show, I've been streaming quarterbacks and just feeling terrible about it for just about the entire season. And I keep running back into the situation of streaming Jameis Winston, which just doesn't... And it hasn't, necessarily bit me in the ass, but, it hasn't been great. I streamed him and he threw, 5 picks, fumbled the ball.
Oh, that's right.
I streamed Ryan Tannehill last week.
And that worked out all right.
Yeah, he was fine. I was fortunate with his performance.
He had the best game of his entire career, maybe.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know if that's true,
absolutely.
but
3 touchdowns. Certainly played better than Marcus Mariota was playing. So I don't know. I'm in this position of streaming Jameis Winston. So anyway, I'm certainly in the market for a quarterback. And
you want Jimmy G?
No, I don't want Jimmy G. He's playing really well, but I don't want him.
Okay.
Anyway, so Andrew Stroman has 3 fucking quarterbacks on his roster because he's an idiot, and he's rostering Kyler Murray, Tom Brady, and Deshaun Watson, like all pretty good quarterbacks at that. So he was like, all right, he posted in the league chat about Kyler Murray, anybody wanting him, and I said, yeah, I want him, and he immediately shot back, well, I don't want anybody on your roster, and then proceeded to offer me a trade of Kyler Murray for Josh Jacobs, which I said no. And so it was like, all right, that's where we're at. We're in this position where he's, and this happens in every league where I was listening to this they were talking about this, I think, on one of the podcasts I was listening to, where you run into problems with trading with other league mates because the people that you draft, you just tend to overvalue because those are the players that you obviously like because you chose them. So you run into problems sometimes with people overvaluing their own players. In this situation, I just think it's because he doesn't really understand that. I mean, I'm never ever in like any situation ever going to trade a running back that's performing for a quarterback when I can just go to the waiver wire and roll the dice on Jameis Winston, and he'll do fine.
Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes.
Well, I love this. I just love the strategy by Andrew here. Or I've always thought about doing this, where you just draft a team and then you just stock your bench with every competent quarterback available, just to kind of cuck everybody else in the league.
Yeah, it's an interesting strategy, and one that, I mean, can certainly pay off. Like, yeah, doing that, or maybe with tight ends as well. Both of those situations, once they get drafted and absorbed, taken up, and once injuries kind of hit people, the bye weeks here can really be a tough time to pick a guy up off the waiver wire and feel comfortable playing him. Anyway, in the couple of weeks that occurred since that happened, I don't remember who I streamed before Ryan Tannehill. Somebody, though, maybe Gardner Minshew. But both weeks, or those few weeks where I was streaming, I think both of those quarterbacks, Ryan Tannehill and Gardner Minshew, both performed better than all 3 of his quarterbacks. Which was just luck. I mean, they're certainly not better quarterbacks than any of those quarterbacks. But so he followed up with me and texted me. He's like, "Are you sure you don't want one of my quarterbacks?" And I said, "If you're gonna throw one of those, head ass offers at me, no." And so he was like, "Actually, I'm looking for a wide receiver." So I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, I have like 50 of those. I could probably send like 1 or 2 your way. Do some roster renovation." And so I was like, "Okay, so." I've got a couple. One's on a bye this week. But I could throw, DJ Moore, Emmanuel. I offered him, I think at one point, DJ Moore, and Emmanuel Sanders. I think for Kyler Murray.
But you offered both 2 receivers?
Yeah.
Oh.
At the time, well, this was before the Emmanuel Sanders trade. And so Emmanuel Sanders he had a downtick in volume, and DJ Moore is playing with Kyle Allen. So I was like, you know what, both these guys are maybe a wide receiver 3 at best, and I've got Cortland Sutton. He's doing good things, so I'm plugging him in. So I offered him both of those for Kyler Murray, and he said, I was thinking more Julian Edelman. And so it was like, oh, we're back on that fuck shit, huh?
Oh.
So, I mean, I don't know. I wasn't mean or anything, but I explained why I can't do that. And then that was that. So
I think you won that non-trade.
I think so too.
Well, I guess we'll see what Jameis does this week, but
I mean, I don't know. I obviously Deshaun Watson is putting up some crazy numbers, and Tom Brady is having a year for his age especially. Kyler Murray is no slouch either, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of exhausting to play the waiver wire because it's any given week you're just gonna throw some guy in there and he's just gonna shit a brick and throw 5 interceptions casually. But at the same time, it's I don't know. You can't really give up any real assets for. It's nice to have some peace of mind at the quarterback position. And that was something I was really jealous of when Cheech and Brian traded Austin Eckler and Aaron Rodgers. And that was, I was like, I don't know about that trade, but it's kind of nice just being able to set your quarterback and be like, I don't know, Aaron Rodgers is fine. Like, he's likely not going to lose me my week.
Yeah, like it's nice I can just, when healthy, I can just put Patrick Mahomes in there and not worry about that.
Yeah, like even when Patrick Mahomes has like a quote-unquote bad week, he puts up 18 points.
Yeah, I just have the other problem where I have to play Tariq Cohen at running back. Yeah. And just hope that he gets, best case scenario, he has 10 receptions for 20 yards.
Right, in the weird Bears offense that's like
bad.
Yeah. Man, so I read I think it was just a tweet where somebody was like, when are we going to start comparing the 2019 Bears to what happened or the 2018-2019 Bears to what happened with the 2017-2018 Jags? And the more I thought about it, the more it went, these situations are a lot more parallel than I originally thought. Or, I mean, I just wasn't thinking about it, I guess.
Yeah, it's the same thing where you had an elite defense and a quarterback that probably played pretty good and went 13-3 and was a pretty good team. And now the next year, the defense is good but not great, and the quarterback is bad.
Yeah. Quarterback got worse.
I've heard the comparison to the second year under Mark Trestman so it's both Bears teams, but that first year under Mark Trestman they were pretty good, and then year 2 they came back and it was a circus. And that's what this is turning into, is a bit of a circus. We got Matt Nagy being very, very mercurial with the media, and just it could have. This is one of those things where. This is kind of what I foresaw with Matt LaFleur for the Packers with that whole red zone debacle on the goal line in that Eagles game. Like, boy, that was one of those things where it could spin out of control, or you could get so far in your own head that like you can't do anything, and then it's like the damn double doink from last year and all this shit that did work last year. Some of those the more creative offensive stuff that they were doing that is just not working this year. Like,
yeah,
that was kind of a ramble. I lost my train of thought, but
no, I mean, I know what you were saying with like those certain tipping points with teams. And it was just really funny that you brought up the Eagles red zone thing with the Packers, because the Bears had their own red zone bullshit happen this past week.
They almost screwed that up. So they almost screwed it up at the end of the half so bad that they almost ran out of time and didn't even get to kick a field goal.
Yeah, didn't they have to spike it?
They spiked it with 1 second left. They barely got it in.
Woof. And the big thing, so yeah, that was a science fair in and of itself. But the real, a lot of Bears fans were complaining about his decision making at the end of the game, to run out the clock rather than to try to gain additional yards or center the ball.
Yeah, do something.
I didn't watch the end of the game actually, And so I didn't realize that it was like a full fucking minute of time. I thought it was like 20 seconds or something, like.
No, they had first. It was first down, and they had. Yeah, I don't remember exactly what the time was, but they had time.
Yeah, I think it
playing
was like
again.
over a minute or something. Like it was a ton of time, and yeah, I was like, oh my goodness, like yeah, I don't know about that. Like I.
Yeah, and then in the whole this press conference after, where he pretty much he aggressively defended the decision, saying, well, if you run the ball, you could have fumbled it. If you threw the ball, it could get picked off or get sacked or something. It's like, yeah, that could happen any play.
Yeah, but I mean, you gotta play the odds, man. I mean, I don't know. I imagine he's just having, high blood pressure every game watching Mitch Trubisky throw the ball because Mitch Trubisky is so fucking bad. But
yeah,
I mean, David Montgomery was rolling that game, man.
That's the thing.
He had a game.
That's the thing. That was the best they ran the ball all year.
Dude got 27 carries and clearly, like, people have been bitching about it for weeks. I mean, especially people in fantasy because David Montgomery, the couple of times in the season that he was able to get the ball more than like 10 times, he's proven that he's more than capable of being the lead back there. And so, yeah, he got 27 fucking carries that game, an inordinate amount, and, rolled all over the Chargers defense. And then, yeah, the decision to not use him at all at the end of the game there, like, oh.
Well, and then
I understand not wanting to trust Mitch Trubisky, but this dude was a stud.
Well, then he had his justification, Matt Nagy's justification for that being, well, when the defense knows you're going to run the ball, you're going to get stuffed for a 3-yard loss. Maybe not. It's such a cowardly, tail tucked between your legs way to end the game.
Yeah, I mean, I think it more than anything, it just shows that he's like absolutely not confident with the execution of his offense. And moving forward, I think that's going to be a huge issue with the Bears down the road, which is great for us. Makes me much more confident facing the Bears than when week 1, when we had a completely different attitude regarding them.
Right. Yeah, that's great. And you think that Minnesota thing might fall apart any week? Kirk Cousins is Kirk Cousins. So I don't know. If you're the Bears, what do you mean? What do you do? Do you when Mitch's rookie contract's up? Do you let him walk? I almost think you do.
You do, absolutely. He's terrible. He's so bad. Like it.
That's one of those things. You touched on it, where teams in fantasy valuing people they draft. That's got to be especially true for real football, given the amount of draft capital and assets and shit that you gave up to scoot up the one spot to take him.
Yeah,
so that's the only reason I think they'd keep him, is just because they invested, a lot of draft stock in him.
I know, and I just think that's like falling into that sunken cost fallacy. I understand that
Absolutely.
You gave up all that capital, but holy shit. Like, it's so bad. Like, and it's really, this comes back to why I was also frustrated with the Andy Dalton thing, because like they could have traded for a quarterback. Like, they could have done that if one was available. Like, Andy Dalton would have been maybe not perfect, but he would have been enough, I think, competent enough to maybe do something with that offense to ensure that the Chicago Bears, because we're sitting at like the halfway point of the season here, so there's plenty of season left. They're far from being a lost team, but it's what do you do with Mitch Trubisky? Like, is he really going to develop? No, probably not. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. It's kind of, frustrating to think that there was an opportunity there to possibly improve the offense to, I mean, a certain degree, at least to be able to execute some of these things that Matt Nagy, I'm sure, is scratching his brain trying to figure out how to run some of the basic elements of his offense that he wanted to run, but now he can't because Mitchell is just ass. You know, I don't know. Like, I don't know what you do there.
Tank for Tua.
Yeah, right.
Tank for Trevor Lawrence.
There's already a tank battle happening with all these teams.
You got a tank for the 2021 draft at this point.
I mean, that's kind of
too
it.
good at
like,
this point already.
Right. I mean, like, that's kind of what I'm thinking is, like, it would have been better to go after a supremely average quarterback like Andy Dalton because you're already way too far gone to, you know, sink the team and hopefully get an elite playmaker at quarterback. Like, you're already way too far down the draft board.
Yeah.
Like, there's too many teams that are searching for an answer at quarterback that are much worse than you.
So for the 2020 Bears, I mean, look for Ryan Fitzpatrick to be your starting quarterback.
Actually, I mean, there's like Nick Foles possibly.
Marcus Mariota or Jameis Winston, if you think they'd both be available.
Yeah. Oh my God, Jameis Winston.
Well, he'd look real good in that the navy blue.
I can't wait to see what team he ends up on, man, because he's not going to be a Tampa Bay Buccaneer next year.
No way.
Bruce Arians has had enough of that bullshit.
Yeah.
Man, also that I think that my fantasy demeanor improved a ton after letting go of O.J. Howard as well. Oh my God.
You get that weight off your shoulder and you can just breathe a little easier at that tight end spot.
Yeah, man. I cut bait with him and picked up Hunter Henry after Sam let him go because he was hurt. And since then, my life has been much better. And I look at my fantasy team with a lot more optimism, knowing that OJ isn't on my fucking team. What a total between him and Joe Mixon, I was punching the air like every single week, like playing them, starting them, and they'd put up like OJ Howard literally put up 0 points one week, and it was just like, fuck, man, I took you in the 6th round. I'm such an idiot. Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, that Bruce Arians offense, dude. I don't know. I thought that it'd be the answer to everything in Tampa Bay, but it's clearly not.
There's no answer. There's no answer when it's Jameis Winston.
I mean, oh man, what about Andy Dalton to Tampa Bay?
Oh,
he worked under Bruce Arians, didn't he? I don't know, actually.
No, he's been in Bruce Arians.
Oh no, he worked with Carson Palmer, and then Carson Palmer was the guy before Andy Dalton.
Right.
All right, it's all full circle now.
There's the connection.
Yeah, I don't know. Tampa Bay needs a new quarterback. Stat. There's all these people. Tennessee Titans, you got to think, are going to take a quarterback. I don't know. They're about the same as Chicago, but Miami is probably taking a quarterback. I don't know about Washington. They already took a quarterback, but who knows with that team? Total toss-up.
Yeah, they might do the Cardinals deal.
Yeah.
And just draft quarterbacks in the first round consecutive years.
Right. Just fuck you, Dwayne.
Yeah, and speaking of which, Josh Rosen, man, what?
Holy shit!
What a shit way to start your career, huh?
I feel bad for him, but like he was super arrogant coming out of the draft, so it was kind of like these are the sour grapes you ordered, Mr. Rosen.
So yeah, you get to play on the worst team last year and probably the worst team this year.
Yeah, I'll ship you off somewhere else, likely next year as well, because this team doesn't want you. Man, watching the Dolphins-Bengals tank off is so funny. Like, watching them, I mean, it was really entertaining watching these last couple of weeks where it was, okay, the Bengals have benched Andy Dalton, and then the Dolphins immediately countered with, well, we're trading away Kenyon Drake. Also, we're putting Xavier Howard on IR. Take that.
Yeah.
And it's like, watching these teams go head to head, it really makes for a lot of anticipation for this Week 16 game where they play each other. Like, my goodness, what an
Mixon,
absolute
healthy
stinky
scratch.
game. Yeah, kinda. Where it's like these teams are just gonna go into this game, and it's like, oh yeah, by the way, all these people are inactive. They all.
Everybody take the week off.
Yeah, they're going to be, it's like on the injury report when you can see like inactive rest, it's going to be that, but on like Sunday. Like, oh my God.
Yeah, Zach Taylor's going to be in the locker room. Oh, who put all these nails on the floor? Or just...
Zach Taylor has been a huge disappointment for the Cincinnati Bengals.
I don't know. I don't know anything about the Bengals team.
They're so fucking bad. Like,
Yeah,
I understand that defense has been a liability for them, and that's not something you fix in a year. But, I mean, his whole shtick was that, I'm the quarterback's coach of the Rams. I'm supposed to be able to, be kind of cut from the same cloth as, like, that Cliff Kingsbury. I'm going to run this high-octane air raid offense. And, like, the injuries have plagued them on the offensive side of the ball. A.J. Green, and then they lost, like, 3 starting offensive linemen, including their first-round pick. But, like, come on, man. You got to do more than score no points.
Yeah.
You still have Joe Mixon. You still have Andy Dalton. You still have Tyler Boyd.
You have Alex Erickson. Come on.
John Ross was starting to have a career year in his 2 years or whatever he's been in the NFL. And then he got hurt. Yeah, I don't know. You got to think that you'd win at least one game, but I don't know, maybe not. So now they're, in prime position to take one of the 70 quarterbacks that are going in the first round.
Boy, yeah. I don't know. Whatever.
Unless Ryan Finley's the answer.
No. Well, maybe he is.
Yeah, right.
But
no idea.
I'm going to say no because I didn't watch any NC State football.
Yeah, I don't know. He didn't look very good. I watched his gameplay against Clemson. Not great. Didn't look very good.
Well, those NFL teams might be a little better than Clemson.
Yeah, I don't know. It's tough to say. Like, haven't seen him play in a game yet, but we
You know,
said the
and
same
talking
thing
about all
about
this
Gardner Minshew.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Well, we also said the same thing about Luke Falk.
Yeah, that's true.
And we were
He was
right.
bad.
He's terrible. Yeah, man, I had this I was just thinking this morning, I had this moment of like mortality, or like I like confronted my own mortality a little bit when it comes to football. Just like, man, Aaron Rodgers is really good. The Packers are going to be terrible once he retires. We're going to be like stuck in 20 years of darkness.
Yeah.
Well, assuming they don't
Unless
find...
we draft another Hall of Fame quarterback.
Yeah, we go back-to-back on Hall of Fame quarterbacks.
Yeah, I've thought about that as well. Especially with this year and like as the season goes along and we're sitting at 7-1, I've definitely thought about the fact that once the Packers go to wherever they're going to go, and if hopefully the playoffs, but
Playoffs?
you got to think that these next few years that he has his deal going for, might very well be the last shot at it. And that was the whole idea when we signed him to an extension is, we're going to build around him and hopefully make one last push for a Super Bowl. But you're right. There's like so much tied to it, and it's like, once it's done, it's done. And it's tough because every team wants to have the idea that you can build the next Patriots dynasty, but it's just like not going to happen.
Well, and the Patriots dynasty has been with the same quarterback.
Yeah. And Hall of Fame coach as well.
Yeah.
And it's a completely supernatural thing that's happened. I mean, the fact that Tom Brady's playing lights out at 68, whatever, however old he is now, over 40, and he's playing pretty well. It just doesn't really happen. I mean, you were watching what happens with Ben Roethlisberger and Phillip Rivers, Eli Manning, that whole draft class. I mean, they're all falling apart. And Aaron Rodgers is right there. He's
not that much older than or younger than those dudes.
Yeah, I mean, and 4 years ago, which is Aaron Rodgers is 35, 4
maybe, I don't know.
He's 4 or 5 years younger than most of those guys, I think, and it's 4 or 5 years ago. All those guys were looking. I mean, Eli Manning, I don't know. But Phillip Rivers and Ben Roethlisberger for sure. I mean, we're still viable quarterbacks, if not, great quarterbacks still. So I mean, yeah, the point of decline is it happens at one point or another. It's just how it goes to everybody. So
yeah, someday all that scotch is going to catch up with them.
That's right. Yeah, so I've thought about that as well too. These next couple of seasons are probably it, and then the Packers got to try to roll the dice again, and hopefully not end up with a Brett Hundley or Deshaun Kaiser situation.
Yeah, because I don't think Tim Boyle's the future.
You don't think he's the future of the franchise?
I'm not sold.
I'm not either. We'll see. Maybe
Teddy Bridgewater could get him.
Maybe Trevor Lawrence will stay for his next year here at Clemson, and then he'll be really bad at Clemson, and then he'll fall down the draft board just like Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. No, what we need to happen is Graham Mertz to start and come out early, and we can have the biggest cheesy Wisconsin boner ever. And have the Packers take Graham Mertz after he leads the Badgers to a national title. Man, I'm just writing Wisconsin fan fiction here, but yeah, he leads the Badgers to a national title, then declares for the draft, and the Packers take him and lead him to 10 consecutive Super Bowls.
Falls all the way to the third round in Russell Wilson fashion. Replaces the free agent that we signed in the offseason to serve as a stopgap.
It mirrors this, and the Packers' elite defense, Jair Alexander and the Legion of
and
Cheese.
The Legion of Doom.
Yeah.
Man, it was funny how that whole thing fell apart too, huh? The whole Legion of Boom. For some reason, I got home from the concert last night, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna watch some Cam Chancellor highlights.
It's oddly specific.
I know, it was super weird. I don't know why. I was eating some granola, and I was like, I think it was I was on Instagram, and Richard Sherman popped up, and I was like, oh man, what about Cam Chancellor? What about that guy?
Yeah, him.
And it was top 12 big hits from Cam Chancellor. It was oh yeah. He was a hard hitter, huh? Now he's done. This super elite defense, the secondary just totally disappeared in a couple seasons.
But they're still good. Seahawks are still pretty good.
Seahawks are still really good. Holy shit, we're sitting at almost an hour and 40 minutes here. So I think that we're gonna go ahead and stop.
We'll put a pin in it. We'll pick it up another time.
Exactly. Check out all of the social media channels. If you enjoyed what you listened to, make sure to drop a like, comment, a text message. I'll put my phone number up in the Patreon as a premium Patreon subscriber perk in case anybody wants that.
Yeah, I get the Definitely the Experts premium text line, talking text line.
That's right. For $5 a month, I'll send you 10 free text messages, whatever you want.
Data and message rates apply.
That's right. And we'll see everybody next time.
Bye.